Even with one of these devices being much older than the other, both are the best phones you can buy right now. But which one is the better buy? Hello everybody, it's Crystal Laura, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge versus the iPhone 6s Plus. First, we have to talk about the sizes of these two devices. The Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge offers a 5.5-inch display, and the iPhone 6s Plus offers a 5.5-inch display as well. However, take a look at the actual sizes of these two phones. The iPhone 6s Plus towers over the Galaxy S7 Edge. Why is this? Well, it all comes down to bezels. Whether we're talking about the top, bottom, or even side bezels of the iPhone 6s Plus, their dimensions are much larger than the S7 Edge's. It makes for a much harder time with one-handed use or just gripping the phone overall. Your finger has to stretch further to access higher parts of the screen, and also this extra width makes for a less secure grip in the hand. Some argue that these large bezels are needed to make room for the fingerprint scanner and to keep the phone symmetrical, but Samsung was able to maintain thin bezels with a fingerprint scanner and symmetrical design, which helps with one-handed use. And of course, the S7 Edge offers almost non-existent side bezels thanks to the curved display. The glass of the S7 Edge's screen is slightly curved on the left and right sides, which makes this device one of the most beautiful phone designs out there. The way the light reflects onto these curved sides creates a stunning look and also makes content seem to pop off the screen. Both devices have aluminum frames. However, on the iPhone 6s Plus, this aluminum also wraps around to the back of the phone, where we have an all-metal backing. The aluminum feels fantastic, it's very smooth, and it looks nice too. On the Galaxy S7 Edge, instead of an aluminum backing, we have a glass backing, which looks beautiful in its own way. Once again, it reflects lots of light, which looks beautiful, but there are some cons to this glass backing. Although it's made from the strong Gorilla Glass 4, with a hard enough drop this will shatter, and the glass really shows off fingerprints, which eventually will defeat the purpose of having this beautiful glass back. When holding these two phones side by side, the iPhone 6s Plus is noticeably heavier at 192 grams versus the S7 Edge's 157 grams. But the S7 Edge is slightly thicker than the iPhone 6s Plus at 7.7 millimeters versus 7.3 millimeters. Volume buttons are on the left side, but on the iPhone we have that silent and vibrate switch, which is very handy. Both companies managed to make beautiful devices out of different materials, and of course cosmetically comes down to personal preference. But in terms of functionality, the S7 Edge wins by a large margin. Now let's get back to that curved display. That's the main story with the Galaxy S7 Edge, that beautiful 5.5-inch curved Super AMOLED Quad HD display. And like I said, the iPhone 6s Plus offers a screen size at 5.5 inches, but there's a lot of differences here. First, we're only talking Full HD with the iPhone. And now that does sound pretty silly to say only Full HD, because Full HD is perfectly fine here on a 5.5-inch display, but this is a comparison, and when putting these two phones side by side, the S7 Edge's display is in a whole other league. We get over 100 pixels more per inch, which creates crazy sharp text and images, and this great resolution also opens up other doors like the Gear VR, which transforms the Galaxy S7 Edge into a VR experience. But when just doing normal phone activities like watching videos, reading articles, or looking at pictures, the Galaxy S7 Edge wins by far, especially thanks to its AMOLED technology. And this leads to other cool features like using the phone as a night clock without lighting up your room or eating up your battery. Colors are also much more vibrant on the Galaxy S7 Edge, which a lot of people will love. However, right in settings, you can tone this down to a more natural look, which is good for editing pictures. Color temperature varies between phones, so the S7 Edge does appear slightly warmer, and pictures have a little extra contrast it seems, but it's all up to preference, and like I said, I really do prefer the extra boost in colors, extra sharpness, and overall nicer image the AMOLED technology displays. As I mentioned, both phones have fingerprint scanners and they work great. They're both built into the home buttons, which are found on the bottom of the device. The iPhone 6s Plus has very slow unlocking animations where all the apps slide into their places. And it looks nice, but this animation alone allows S7 Edge users to be able to unlock their phones and get to work a little faster than 6s Plus users. The bottoms of the phones look very similar, with the headphone jack on the left, charging port in the middle, and speakers on the side. The S7 Edge still uses micro USB to charge, which is unfortunate because it's not reversible like the lightning cable on the iPhone 6s Plus. The 6s Plus's speaker is louder, clearer, and also has a bit more bass to it. Yes, both speakers are pointed away from you, which is unfortunate and are very easy to cover up, but at least the sound is decent on the 6s Plus. But there is a reason for this weaker sound coming from the S7 Edge. Behind the speaker is a protective coating that hampers the sound, but thanks to this protective coating, the S7 Edge is IP68 water resistant, so the phone has been tested to survive within 1.5 meters of water for at least 30 minutes. If you do this on the iPhone 6s Plus, well, you probably shouldn't. A great feature you get on the Galaxy S7 that the iPhone 6s Plus does not have is a micro SD card slot. So storing large movies and lots of songs or pictures is very easy and cheap. However, on the iPhone 6s Plus, if you want more storage, you'll have to spend a lot more money. You can pick up the S7 Edge with 32 gigs of internal storage for around $750. However, the base storage size for the iPhone 6s Plus is 16 gigs at the same price point, which is a little ridiculous, especially for a phone that needs to store large 4K video clips. If you want a total of 64 gigs of storage on your S7 Edge, you can pick up a 32 gig microSD card slot for about $10, putting your price at $760. With the iPhone 6s Plus, you're looking at $849. You are not going to find two faster phones on the market right now. You can take a look at the spec sheet between these two, but with different types of companies using totally different types of processors, GPUs, and even operating systems, this isn't going to mean anything. So I ran these phones through some benchmarks and they scored very close. However, the S7 Edge scored higher on the Geekbench scoring, while the iPhone 6s Plus scored higher on Antutu scoring. Although these phones are on different operating systems and the apps they run are not identical, both phones seem to be just as fast as one another. But when opening up apps, the S7 Edge seems to be a bit quicker with most apps. Frame rates while gaming is great on both, which is good for the S7 Edge because it has a lot more pixels to push. However, game loading times are at least 3 times faster on the iPhone 6s Plus. And now let's talk about battery life. It's very interesting because the Galaxy S7 has an almost 1000 mAh larger battery capacity than the iPhone 6s Plus, yet both phones manage to get very similar battery life. But yes, the Galaxy S7 still beats the iPhone 6s Plus by a small margin. Both phones can easily last me all day with moderate use. At the end of a normal day of moderate use, my S7 Edge would have about 4.5 hours of screen on time with about 20% left, or my 6s Plus with moderate use would have 12 to 15% left. Charging via cable is easier with the 6s Plus as Apple's Lightning cable is reversible. However, it takes a long time to charge, usually around 2 hours from 0 to 100. The S7 Edge can charge much faster at a little over an hour and 15 minutes. Also, you can charge wirelessly, which is very convenient and fast too. Sometimes it doesn't matter which phone has the best display or best design or best features, it comes down to what operating system the phone is running. The iPhone 6s Plus is running iOS 9.3 and the Galaxy S7 Edge is running Android Marshmallow 6.0.1. Two totally different operating systems. And what's great about iPhones is that when Apple releases a new version of iOS, no matter which type of iPhone you have or which carrier you have, you'll be able to get that update the day it's released. Whereas on most phones without stock Android, you'll need to wait sometimes up to a year, which is unfortunate for some. Of course, iOS is more limited to what you can do. For example, you can't place apps anywhere you'd like, you can't add widgets onto your home screens, you can't download icon packs, simple things like setting default apps are nowhere to be found, and of course more advanced things like changing home launchers or creating gestures are not available. Sure, some users might not need any of these features, but it's nice to know with Android, if there is something you'd like to do, you pretty much can. iOS is a great operating system, but my biggest gripe with it is the notification system. At any given moment on Android, you can glance at the top left corner to see which notifications you're missing. You easily slide down the notification panel and swipe them away, but with iOS, you never know what alerts you have unless you look at the red bubbles over apps or pull down your notification panel and swipe to the left. Also, getting rid of them takes a few extra clicks with iOS. Each phone has a big software feature, like 3D Touch on the 6s Plus and Edge panels for the S7 Edge. Both of these features act as a way to add shortcuts without cluttering interfaces. 3D Touch is a software and hardware feature because the iPhone 6s Plus's display is pressure sensitive, so pressing down on apps with force allows extra shortcuts to appear. Edge panels on the S7 Edge allow you to swipe in on the curved edge sides to access apps, app actions, widgets, news, and other things, but both are a great feature to have. iPhones have always been known for fantastic photos, but last year Samsung stepped up their game and delivered a smartphone camera that could compete with the iPhone, and although they've made fun of the iPhone for having a lower megapixel count, this year they lowered the Galaxy's megapixel count. Both phones now have 12 megapixel cameras. However, the actual pixels on the S7 Edge are larger, which allows for more light to come through, which helps in low light photos. The theme here is going to be softer, darker, and less contrasty images will be taken with the iPhone 6s Plus, while the S7 Edge will have a lot more sharpening, contrast, and vibrant colors going on. On paper, that sounds like the S7 Edge destroys the iPhone 6s Plus, and although there is a big difference between the two, a lot of this comes down to preference. Immediately you'll notice much more toned down colors on the 6s Plus, with the S7 Edge boosting these colors to create a much more yellow image. The S7 Edge seems to stick out at you at first glance with these extra colors, but the iPhone does do a better job at exposing the photo, and this extra softness looks very natural. If we zoom in here, you'll notice the S7 Edge overexposes and loses some of the texture. Also, within the shadows, we lose information. Here, you can see that the S7 Edge's lens is a little more wide angled, which helps get more information in the shot. I didn't move my feet between taking these two pictures. This is without HDR on, and you can see that the 6s Plus does a better job at exposing, keeping the blue sky present while still having the subject bright. If we zoom into these 4 bolts above these rocks, you'll see that the S7 Edge has a lot more post-processing sharpening going on, which does look very nice, creating a sharper image. Colors also pop a bit more with the S7 Edge if you compare the red mulch on the bottom. The only thing I enjoy more with the S6 Plus's photo is a deeper blue sky. In this photo, I really tested the HDR capabilities with each phone with an extreme test. This is with HDR off, and this is with it on. HDR on the iPhone 6s Plus is very subtle. Really, whether you have it on or off, it's not going to take a horrible photo and make it amazing, or take an amazing photo and make it horrible. With the S7 Edge, HDR can hurt the photo sometimes, but in this case, HDR allows for a much nicer photo. It's much brighter, and you can actually see the trees in the background, whereas on the iPhone, they're almost black. In this test, you can see the difference in focal lengths, and also how that large aperture on the S7 Edge comes into play. The iPhone 6s Plus can't get as close to objects as the S7 Edge, and also has less of a bokeh effect. And also, the S7 Edge has full manual controls, which help with this shot. The iPhone 6s Plus is not capable of this. All this talk of Samsung lowering their megapixel count and creating larger pixels really doesn't make a difference in the test we just saw, but in lower light there's a big difference. In low light areas, the 6s Plus will appear to have almost a haze over the photo when compared to the S7 Edge. The S7 Edge creates much brighter photos with punchy colors and lots of detail. This extra boost in colors takes these low light shots to a whole new level, and when zooming into small objects in these photos, the S7 Edge retains a ton of detail, so you can easily make out words or even individual buds on trees. That layer of haze on the iPhone 6s Plus is always present, making the S7 Edge a clear winner every time. There's a big shift in color temperature as well, but the S7's warmer colors always seem to represent the scene better. Of course, we still have the beloved Galaxy wide-angle selfie camera. When taking group selfies with the iPhone, you never get enough context as to where the shot was taken, which is kind of the point of taking selfies with people. With the S7 Edge, you'll be able to include much more context, showing more of the background, which really gives no reason to use something like a selfie stick. You can get much more people into the shot, even if the post-processing seems to soften the faces a little. Both phones take great 4K video, and thanks to optical image stabilization, video comes out very smooth, but the iPhone is much smoother. It's really incredible how smooth your shot is with the iPhone, almost like you're using an expensive Steadicam. The S7 Edge does a great job too, but the software does warp the video a little more, and the optical image stabilization does a little less to get rid of shakiness. But in terms of quality though, it's the same theme we've been used to. The S7 Edge has very bright and vibrant colors, which looks really good, but has some trouble with exposure. And the 6s Plus's colors and brightness are toned down more, but with that you get a very natural looking video. One area with video where the S7 Edge clearly has the iPhone beat, and pretty much any phone, is its focus speeds. It instantly locks onto objects, never letting your audience wait for your footage to ease into focus like it does on the 6s Plus. Both devices showcase their operating systems in the best way possible. The best iOS device ever made, and to lots of people, the best Android phone ever made. Although I'd have to say the Galaxy S7 Edge without a doubt beats the iPhone 6s Plus in every aspect. Better display, better battery life, water resistant, expandable storage, and wireless charging. Then we have the preferences like design, camera, and of course operating systems. It's hard for users to switch to something they're not familiar with, like operating systems, but with the S7 Edge besting out the 6s Plus in almost every area, I'd say it's easily worth the adjustment. And that is the end of our comparison. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you comment below and let me know which of these two phones do you prefer. Also, head on over to AndroidAuthority.com because we go even more in depth with this comparison, and there's even more camera samples. So yeah, head on over there and check those out. And subscribe to Android Authority because we are your source for all things Android.